The president spoke the truth on Galamsey. Highest comparison that the journalists were making between what you said in your campaign and what has happened now. It is only those issues that you can pick up and deal with. That is why Galamsey became tops. Exactly. Because Galamsey was tops in the campaign. That is why the other thing that also mattered, but perhaps hasn't become tops, is the question that was asked by Adom-Otchere relating to the processes that eventually removed the Chief Justice. Lawyers are currently still discussing this issue about the conclusion of the matter, that the Chief Justice has been removed from as a Chief Justice and also as a Supreme Court judge. Because lawyers are finding out that the process that removed the Chief Justice, Article 1466, deals with only removal of Chief Justice. Article 1464 deals with removal of Supreme Court judges. So that we are finding out that if you were to remove a person from being Chief Justice and also being a Supreme Court judge, you must have to go through the process outlined in Article 1464 for Supreme Court justices and Article 1466 for Chief Justices, so that by now that they have finished the process, they should be taking her through another process. This is what the lawyers are, every law firm is looking at it and is confused that, where did we come? What's happening here?
And legally, is there precedence for this to even serve as a reference?
Because there's no precedent. And because some of us think that that article was never put there intended to be used except maybe once in 100 years, all of these spaces are available. And so the government said, we have removed you as both this and that. But the process that the government announced was a process that limits itself to removing a Chief Justice, not a Justice of the Supreme Court. So these were the two big issues that came up. Both issues, we didn't get the answers from the president. The president spoke the truth on Galamsey. It has always been true that dealing with Galamsey has several strands. And one of the things that will concern anybody who is managing the public purse is how much money you may be losing with the state of emergency. This was the situation in 2023. It was the situation in 2024. And is the situation today.
But isn't the party singing a different song while in opposition?
That's what I'm coming
to. You agreed
that
there's a need to declare a state of emergency.
The president spoke the truth.
Now you're telling us it's your last resort.
The president spoke the truth. Maybe during the campaign, not as much truth was said. And that is what the journalists are pointing out. Because everything President Mahama said was true. If you declare a state of emergency on all mining, you are likely to see a drop in your mining revenue. The finance minister is going to get upset with the president and tell you that that's the point Asiedu Nketia made, that you cannot declare a state of emergency. It's going to affect the finances. And I'm suggesting to you that the people who ran the campaign about state of emergency were aware that the state of emergency was going to affect the economy, and perhaps they salivated that process because it was campaign time. It brings us to the question about what we should do in campaign time and what we should not do in campaign time.
Shouldn't we be telling the people of Ghana the truth?
Yes.
Rather than lying to us during your campaign message.
I don't know whether they lied to us.
Okay.
I'm just saying that what the President Mahama said, he's been president before. Anybody who's been around government will know that a declaration of a state of emergency, whilst it may solve the problem temporarily, is going to occasion a significant loss of revenue. And if you are president of a third world country, a developing country, and you are coming from COVID and Ukraine, and they are putting pressure on you to declare a state of emergency, your best bet is to access other alternatives. Send the police there, send the military there, all of these solutions that have hardly worked, especially as the president said with the gold price right now. This is the problem. So the president is putting himself, President Mahama knew that this question was going to come. He was going to put himself in the firing line. He knew that. What is the solution? Tell them, let's go around it and see what we can do about it. Convert it to a political question. Let's solve other problems. You have an election in 3 years. It's enough time for us to turn ourselves around. But at the end of the day, the journalists are going to say, okay, President Mahama lied. And then what happens after that? That's what politicians do. He put himself in the firing line because here he sits. He needs to tell the people the truth. And he's also concerned about the purse, the money that's coming with him. That's what he started with. That Gold Board has been able to increase revenue from gold as a result of Galamsey. That itself is quite dangerous, and that's what Kojo was alluding to. We don't want a situation where when the gold price tumbles, these international organizations are going to say, like they said to us in 2008 about cocoa, that they were not going to buy Ghana cocoa because kids were working on the cocoa farms, and President Kufuor's government had to hire Rosa Whittaker to go all the farms and develop a report for the United Nations. This information that has been put out there, potentially, can have people coming to tell Ghana in 2027 that, look, Ghana's gold, you can't buy it because there's an admission that the gold is bought from people who are destroying water bodies. So that's the only little part that is concerning.